and they said they always had to watch his hands to see when he was going to switch chords, and that's exactly what that guy is doing there. Next one. All of these are from the Muslim world. The piano is literally, if you look at the Qanun, which was invented by Al-Farabi, who wrote a book called Al-Musiq Al-Kabir, and this was explained to me by Hamza Alauddin, who's a great musicologist and musician, that the piano is actually two qaluns put together. And this is the beginning of the piano, which is probably considered the greatest of the European instruments. Next one. Fabrics are, hadith wala haraj. This is really the Muslim. They didn't know cotton. Cotton is from qutn. People in Europe were wearing coarse, they were wearing hemp and leather things and horrible. And the Muslims introduced all of these extraordinary textiles. And the British were so jealous that when they conquered Bangladesh, they actually cut off the fingers of all the textile workers so that they could not produce the textiles because they were competing with British textiles. And that's historically accurate. Next. Clothing, pajama. When you get up in the morning, pajama. It's a Persian word. And this is, mattress is matrah. So people that get up in the morning in their pajamas from their mattress and go have their coffee and orange juice on their sofa, this is really, it's amazing. But pajama, if you look in Chambers' book of etymology, it says Muslim clothing that is loose-fitting that Europeans adopted for nightwear. Because that's the only time people in the West are comfortable, when they go to sleep. Next. So this is it. Sofa is sufa and matrah is mattress. You can see the Arch Stanford, the best in the West, and Al-Qarawiyyin in Fez. Next. Glass is extraordinary. The Venetians made a contract with an alliance with Egypt, and part of the treaty was that they teach them how to make glass. And it was a state secret, and the Italians actually imprisoned the Italian glassmakers on the island of Marona in Italy in order that it would not spread out, and for that reason the Europeans cornered the Italians cornered the glass market. This colored glass, which is now in all the churches of Europe, was originally a Muslim invention. And when the Crusaders brought glass back from the Crusades, the Europeans were so ignorant, they thought they were miracles of the saints, and they put them in their churches and brought them out on holy days, believing that they were sacred relics, and these were literally the ordinary domestic utensils of the Muslims of the East. And the finest crystal, this is the finest glass known to man, was invented in Spain. And some of the next one, skyscrapers. The Yemenis have full credit for that, because those skyscrapers are several hundred years old. Next. Gardens. And you can see the influence is unbelievable. Romans had gardens, but Romans limited their gardens to the absolute aristocracy. There was no concept of huge public gardens. They had public spaces that were limited only for the aristocrats. Slaves could not go into those places. Plebeians could not go into those places. Only patricians. And what the Muslims introduced was the idea of garden spaces for the entire society. And when the Spanish conquered the Alhambra, their heads were spinning. And you will see a direct relationship between the conquest of Spain and the gardens that suddenly begin to appear in Europe. And certainly the medieval garden is directly influenced by the Spanish garden. Next, and jardín. The windmills were invented by the Persians, and some claim it was the Chinese, but the windmills moved to Spain, and this is why we've got Cervantes' character running around chasing windmills. because wind power, which is still used now, and the upright, the vertical windmill is a direct contribution of the Muslims. Next. The Arabian horse. Every great quality of European horses is brought out by using an Arabian stud. And by Allah, they're called Arabian horses because the most expensive thing on this planet is an Arabian horse. There is a horse that sold last year for $65 million. $65 million. And Arabian horses are the most intelligent of all horses, but like Arabs, they are high-strung, and if they're not reined in, they can become quite uncontrollable. Next. And it's Islam that reins them in, by the way. And Mutanabbi said, وَالظُّلْمُ مِنْ شِيَمَ النَّاسِ فَإِنْ تَجِدْ ذَا عِفَّةً فَلِعِلَّةً لَا يَظْلِمُ. Oppression is the nature of people. So if you find somebody that doesn't oppress, it's for some constraint that he doesn't oppress, like religion or fear. Mathematics, don't underestimate the danger of mathematics. This is what has enabled the West to develop the most sophisticated weapons of mass destruction. And the Muslims are absolutely responsible for Hiroshima and Nagasaki because they're the ones that gave that information. And don't think they don't take it serious here. There were 3 Saudi Arabians in New York at the airport that were arrested because they found calculators and math books and slide rules in their suitcases, and they were indicted for possessing weapons of math instruction and being members of the terrorist organization Algebra. Next one. Arabic numerals. These are not Indian numerals, people. These are Arabic numerals. The Indian numerals are used in the East. The Arabic numerals are used in the West. This is a unique Muslim contribution because it's based on angles. So 0 has no angle, 1 has 1 angle, and I hope you can work out the rest. Next one. Geometry, trigonometry, spherical geometry was developed, according to David King, in order to determine Mecca. And this is an extraordinary contribution of the Muslims, which is the idea of the Great Circle. This is an amazing contribution, although most of the fuqaha denied its validity in the use. The early fuqaha, the later fuqaha tended to use it, but the early fuqaha denied its validity. Next. Medicine, unfortunately, I have to go. I'm just going to close up. I don't have time to go through all this. Next. Hospitals. I'll just one Al-Razi in the famous hospital, the Al-Audidi hospital in Baghdad. When he was asked to build this hospital, what he did was he took meat, killed an animal, and put the meat in different areas of the city, and then had them all brought to one place after several days. And the meat that had the least putrefaction was the site that he chose for the hospital, which is an extraordinary scientific investigation into the air and the health of an atmosphere. Next. And by the way, hospitals are purely an Islamic contribution to the West, and this is accepted by Western researchers. Prior to Islam, the hospitals were superstitious religious centers called where people slept. Next. Astronomy. This is my favorite part. I have to go through it. Next. And I mean, it's just amazing. Look at those are scientists.